It is 3:14 in the morning, and the silence in this house is not empty. It is heavy, pressing against my eardrums like water at the bottom of a deep pool. And I have wedged myself into the narrow gap between the heavy velvet curtains and the cold glass of the bay window in the guest bedroom, because this is the only angle where I can see the street without the street seeing me. Or at least that is what I told myself 20 minutes ago, before the pattern started. The air in here smells of dust and stale lavender potpourri that my mother-in-law insists on keeping in bowls on the dresser, and my breath is fogging up the bottom corner of the pane, creating a small, ghostly cloud that obscures the view for a split second before fading. And I have to be careful not to touch the glass, because the vibration might travel, might alert whatever is out there that I am awake and watching. I need to record this, because if I don't say it out loud, if I don't trap these words on the magnetic tape spinning inside this plastic box, I might convince myself by sunrise that it was just a dream or a hallucination brought on by the sleeping pills that I pretended to take but actually flushed down the master bathroom toilet. And I can't afford to doubt myself anymore. Not after what I've seen this week. Not after the way the mailman looked at me yesterday, staring just a little too long at the package in my hands, as if he knew exactly what was inside. It started with the hum, a low-frequency electrical buzzing that seemed to vibrate through the floorboards, the kind of sound you feel in your teeth more than you hear with your ears. And I thought it was the refrigerator compressor failing, or maybe the HVAC system struggling against the humidity. But when I walked through the hallway, creeping past the kids' rooms with my socks sliding on the hardwood, the sound got louder near the front door, pulling me toward the street like a moth to a bug zapper. I am looking at the streetlight directly in front of our driveway, the tall, arched sodium vapor lamp that usually bathes the lawn in that sickly, bruised peach color that makes the grass look gray and dead. And for years, I hated that light because it shines right into our bedroom if the blinds aren't shut tight. But tonight, I am fixated on it because it is not shining. It is breathing. That is the only way I can describe it. The filament inside the glass casing is dimming and brightening in a rhythm that feels biological, a slow, deliberate pulse that creates shifting shadows on the asphalt, making the oil stains on the road look like widening pupils. And at first, I thought it was just a power surge, a glitch in the grid that Judge Thorne in House 1 is always complaining about at the HOA meetings, ranting about infrastructure and tax dollars, while everyone else just nods and looks at their shoes. But it isn't a surge, because the light outside the Miller's house at number 4 is doing it too, and the one further down near Julian Vane's place at number 15. And they aren't flickering in unison like they would if a transformer had blown. They are flickering in sequence, a cascading wave of darkness and light traveling up and down Willow Lane like a signal fire passing between hilltops. I started counting the flashes because my father was a ham radio operator, and he used to force us to listen to the static on Saturday nights, teaching us the difference between random noise and intentionality, teaching us that chaos has no rhythm, but intelligence always seeks a pattern. And as I watched the bulb outside my window go dark for 3 seconds, then flash quickly 3 times, then go dark again, my stomach dropped so hard I had to lean against the window frame to keep from sliding to the floor. It was a dash, 3 dots, a dash, and then a long pause where the street was plunged into absolute blackness, a darkness so complete it felt like the world had been deleted. And then the cycle repeated, but with different intervals, different durations, the light burning with an intensity that hurt my eyes before cutting out again, sharp and mechanical. I grabbed the notepad I keep in the nightstand, the one I use for grocery lists and reminders to call the pediatrician, and I started scratching down the sequence in the dark, my pen tearing through the thin paper because my hand was shaking so badly. Dot, dot, dash, pause, dot, 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 pause, dot, pause, dash, dot, dash, dash. And as the letters started to form in my mind, I felt a cold sweat breaking out on the back of my neck, a prickling sensation that usually only happens when you realize you are standing on the edge of a cliff you didn't know was there. The first word was they, just 4 letters, simple and accusatory, and I stopped writing for a second, hoping I was wrong, hoping I was misinterpreting the intervals. Maybe it was just the wind swinging the fixture, maybe it was a loose wire arcing in the wind, but there is no wind tonight. The trees are statues, the leaves are frozen in place, and the light kept going, relentlessly pushing the message into my eyes. No, that was the second word. Dash, dot, dash, 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 dot, dash, 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 dot, dash, dash, dash. And I felt the tears hot and stinging in the corners of my eyes, because the implication of that word is so vast and so terrible, implying an intelligence, an observer, someone sitting at a switchboard or a computer terminal somewhere, watching the feed, watching the power consumption, watching the tiny red light on this recorder that I am holding right now. I looked across the street at Martha Higgins' house, number 2, expecting to see her jagged silhouette in the window because she never sleeps. She is always watching with those binoculars she claims are for bird watching, even though we have no birds here that fly at night. But her house was dark, completely dark, like a tomb, which is wrong. It is fundamentally wrong, because Martha always leaves the porch light on. She says it's for safety, but we all know it's because she's afraid of the dark. And tonight, her house is a black void against the sky. The light outside my window flared again, a searing white magnesium burst that lit up the interior of the guest room like a flashbulb, exposing me, exposing the boxes of winter clothes stacked in the corner, exposing the fear on my face in the reflection of the mirror on the opposite wall. And then it went instantly dark, and I scrambled to write the rest, my pen slipping in my sweaty fingers. You, dash, dot, dash, 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 dot, dot, dash. And I wanted to scream. I wanted to run into the master bedroom and shake my husband awake. But what would I say? How would I explain that the streetlights are talking to me? He would look at me with that pitying expression he's been wearing lately. The one that says he thinks I'm cracking under the pressure of the new baby. The one that says he's already looked up the number for a therapist. Dot, dash, dot, dash, dot, dot. And the pacing of the lights accelerated, the flashes becoming stroboscopic, a frantic pulsing that made the street look like an old silent film, jerky and disjointed. And I saw something moving down there, just a glimpse between the flashes, something near the storm drain in front of Silas Blackwood's house at number 13, a shape that was too tall to be a dog and too rigid to be a person. But then the light cut out again, and when it came back, the street was empty. That was the final word, the longest one, the one that took the most time to spell out. Dot, dash, dot, dot, dash, dash, dot, dash, 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 dot, dash, dash, dash. And when the final dash faded, the streetlights didn't just go back to normal, they turned off. All of them, the entire length of Willow Lane, from the cul-de-sac to the main road, went black in a single synchronized instant, as if a giant hand had reached down and flipped a master switch. And now I am standing here in the dark, the only light coming from the tiny red LED on this tape recorder, and the message is echoing in my head. They know you are recording, which means they can hear this. They can hear the scratch of my voice, the sound of my breathing, the hum of the mechanism, which means the listening device isn't in the phone or the computer. It's in the air, or in the walls, or maybe they are reading the vibrations of the glass I'm standing next to. I should turn it off. I should pull the batteries out and smash the cassette with a hammer and flush the magnetic ribbon down the toilet. But I can't, because if I stop recording, then I am just a crazy woman standing in the dark. But as long as the tape is rolling, I am a witness. I am evidence. I am a variable they have to account for. It is so quiet now. The electrical hum is gone. The refrigerator has stopped running. The house is holding its breath, and I can hear a sound coming from the street, a slow, rhythmic crunching of gravel, like tires rolling very slowly over the asphalt. But there are no headlights, no engine noise, just the sound of weight displacing stones, getting closer to the driveway. I am pressing my forehead against the cold glass, straining to see into the blackness, and my eyes are starting to adjust, starting to pick out shapes in the gloom, the outline of the mailbox, the curve of the hedge, and there is a vehicle parked directly under the dead streetlight, a van, distinct and boxy, darker than the night around it, painted in a matte black that seems to absorb the starlight. There is no license plate that I can see, no markings on the side, just a smooth, featureless monolith of metal, and the driver's side window is rolling down. I can't hear the motor, but I can see the change in the reflection, a blacker square opening up in the black door, and someone is sitting there, watching the house, watching this window. They aren't looking at the master bedroom where my husband is sleeping. They aren't looking at the nursery. They are looking right here, right at the gap in the curtains where I am standing. And I realize now that the message wasn't a warning. It was a confirmation, a statement of fact. They didn't flash the lights to scare me. They flashed them to let me know that the experiment has moved to the next phase. I can see the glow of a cigarette tip inside the van. Or maybe it's not a cigarette, it's a small red light, steady and unblinking, exactly like the one on my recorder, a twin star in the darkness, mirroring the one in my hand. And for a moment, I feel a strange sense of connection, a terrifying intimacy with the person in the van, because we are both documenting this moment. We are both capturing the silence. The phone downstairs is ringing, but it's not ringing with a sound. The ringer is off. I turned it off months ago. But the wall unit in the kitchen has a light that flashes when a call comes in, and I can see the reflection of it on the hallway floorboards, a rhythmic pulsing of pale blue light, silent and insistent, calling out in the dark house. I am not going to answer it. I am not going to move. I am going to stay right here and watch the van, because the moment I look away is the moment they will get out, the moment the doors will slide open and the boots will hit the pavement. So I have to keep my eyes open. I have to keep the recorder running. I have to be the observer that changes the outcome of the quantum state. The red light in the van is moving now. It's rising, as if the person holding it is lifting it to their mouth. And suddenly, the speaker of my tape recorder, the one I'm holding, lets out a burst of static, a sharp white noise hiss that cuts through the silence like a knife. And through the static, I can hear a voice, faint and distorted, bleeding through the magnetic field, whispering my name, just my name, over and over. Claire, Claire, Claire. It's not coming from the street. It's coming from inside the machine in my hand, overriding the input, feeding back into the loop. And I want to drop it. I want to throw it across the room. But my fingers are locked around the plastic casing, frozen in a spasm of terror. And the van door is opening, slowly, silently, swinging out into the darkness. A foot steps out, clad in a gray uniform that looks like the ones the utility workers wear, the ones who were digging up the gas lines last week, the ones who spent 3 days working on the junction box at the corner of the lot. And I remember thinking it was strange that they were digging so deep for a gas line, strange that they were pouring concrete into the hole instead of pipes. And now the man is standing on the street, looking up at me, and he raises his hand, not in a wave, but in a gesture to wait, a flat palm pushing against the air. He is pointing at the street lights again, and even though there is no power, even though the bulbs are dead and cold, I can hear the filaments singing, a high-pitched whine that is climbing up the octaves, rising to a frequency that makes my teeth ache, and the glass of the bulb directly above his head explodes, showering him in sparks and shards. But he doesn't flinch. He doesn't even blink. He just keeps pointing at my window, pointing at the recorder.
The kitchen phone light is still flashing. Blue, 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 syncing up with the static on the tape. And I realize the code hasn't stopped. It has just changed mediums. It has moved from the lights to the phone to the static. And the message is continuing. The next word is coming through the hiss, dragging itself out of the white noise.
That's what the static is saying. Open, open, open. And I don't know if they mean the door or the window or my mind, but I can hear the front doorknob turning downstairs, the slow friction of brass against brass, the tumble of the lock cylinders engaging. Even though I locked it, I checked it 3 times. I put the chain on. But the sound is distinct, the sound of metal yielding to a key that fits perfectly. I am backing away from the window now, retreating into the shadows of the room, but the floorboards are creaking under my feet, announcing my position, betraying me to the house that has turned against me. And the van outside is empty now. The driver is gone, and the front door downstairs has clicked open, letting the night air rush into the foyer, bringing the smell of ozone and wet asphalt into the sanctuary of my home. I am going to hide the tape. I'm going to push it into the vent behind the dresser, the one that connects to the attic. And maybe if someone finds it later, maybe if the Millers or Julian Vane, or even that awful woman Martha finds it, they will understand why the lights flicker. They will understand that we are not living in houses. We are living in terrariums, and the keepers are finally coming in to feed. The footsteps are on the stairs now, heavy and deliberate, not trying to be quiet, not trying to sneak, because they know I am here. They told me they knew, and I just stood here and watched it happen. I just recorded my own entrapment. And now the handle of the guest room door is starting to turn. Slowly, so slowly, like the hand of a clock ticking down the final seconds. I have to stop talking now. I have to be quiet. I have to be the silence. But the red light on the recorder is the brightest thing in the room, a beacon, a target. And as the door opens, I can see the hallway light is on, blindingly bright, and standing there in the doorway, blocking the exit, is not a stranger. It's not a man in a uniform. It's something much worse. It's the silhouette of someone who has a key, someone who lives here, someone who has been waiting for this signal for a very, very long time. He is holding a finger to his lips. Hush, he says.